The Monday after the Jaguars 2025 season ended, and now we have to look at what comes next. We will do that here today on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Facts on facts. It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that you can find wherever you watch or listen to your podcast. And we appreciate you joining us and making yourself an everydayer. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Shout out to the everydayers that join us each and every day. We absolutely appreciate you. Locked On Jaguars is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is the #1 sports podcast network. So we are glad to have you with us and do not take it for granted. Here's what we got to go over today, man. The painful process of looking ahead. That's what we'll start out with, and why there should be positivity. And then I will address the fans and how great you guys made this year, not only for Jacksonville and Jaguars football, but for me here on Locked On Jaguars. So we'll get to all of that. First and foremost, as we start, I know how you feel. It hurts. It hurts. The Jaguars losing 27-24 to Buffalo, as you heard on the post-game show yesterday and the squad show. The emotions are riding super, super high, and we all have to decompress a little bit and look ahead. I want to thank the Jags first and foremost, because this time of year, I want y'all to know I'm behind. I'm off schedule. And what I mean by that is this. Normally this time of year, I have a full mock draft. I have a list of free agents, a list of GM candidates, and a list of coaches. Those are no longer the problems that the Jacksonville Jaguars have after a 13-4 season. 13-5 if you include the playoff loss. Going 8 straight weeks without losing a game. Looking like the most proficient and efficient offense in the National Football League. Questions were answered about Trevor Lawrence. Questions were also answered about Liam Cohen and James Gladstone and their ability to keep their foot on the gas to attempt to propel this organization into something new. And the reason why I want to talk about the fans in Seg 3 is because the questions were asked about the fans. We use the word Stockholm, or the term Stockholm Syndrome, a lot. Jaguar fans fully expected to win that game yesterday. This wasn't same old Jags. This wasn't any of that stuff. So in 1 year, the atmosphere around here has changed, that people actually forgot that the Jaguars seemed like we could never have nice things in the future. And I know I said the Jaguar fans can be insufferable whenever they're winning, and that is true. I, as a host, can tap into that and lean into it, and maybe I was insufferable the last couple of weeks also. But it comes with fandom, and that is what fandom is. And you have to take the hard lessons of it, and you have to understand it and live with it. There's a lot of heartbreak. And the examples I'll give you is I grew up watching Dean Smith in basketball win championships, and Bobby Bowden was my favorite college football coach. I think they coached for a total of 64 or 65 years, and between them, they have 4 championships. So that would mean maybe 5 if I think Dean has 2, but if he does have 3, forgive me for misspeaking. So that's a collection of 64 years and only 5 titles. There's a lot of years where they did not win, and that happens to a lot of people. So I'm here to tell Jaguar fans today, I get it. But the difference is we're here, that they've arrived to what I believe is football relevance. And that football relevance is going to allow them to have, and all of us to have, this feeling that this isn't over, that this season may have ended, but the season in terms of where we are as a franchise is just beginning. And I'm going to give a real quick shout out to the Buffalo Bills and them and their perseverance. perseverance, because I'm not talking about AFL, but they also have never won a Super Bowl, but they are in that mirror and that window of relevance with a great player at quarterback in Josh Allen, and it's their time. And they know as much as anybody, they went to 3 Super Bowls back in the 90s, and they lost one they should have won when the field goal went funny. And there's a lot of organizations that have been through a lot of heartache. But today, I'm going to give them props. I'm going to play a clip from Joe Marino. We did the crossover just last week, and Joe's one of the best in the business. But yeah, we did a little bit of sparring and we did a little bit of back and forth, but it's all in sportsmanship. So humble pie, as you listen to Joe Marino from Locked On Bills talk about the Bills and even mention something about the Jaguars here. Check it out.
The Buffalo Bills beat the Jacksonville Jaguars and served Jacksonville one big slice of humble pie. All week long, all you heard about was how hot the Jaguars were and how they have arrived. Well, guess what? You got to earn it in the NFL. And the Bills reminded you exactly the type of team that is at the top of this conference year in and year out. You got to earn it, and it ain't your year, Jacksonville. Try again. You got some good things brewing, but Josh Allen gets it done on the road for the first time, and it's on to the divisional round.
Good stuff from Joe Marino. Congrats to them for moving on. And I have absolutely no problem with it because he is 100% correct. And they know as well as anybody, because this position that they have been in when you had the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think for 1 year, probably Cincinnati, I don't know who they lost to, but when the Chiefs beat them with 13 seconds left, and they got that walk-off field goal, they've been here before. So the thing is, ain't about being angry at them. And plus, everybody was real gracious at the stadium and all of that stuff. But they're right. And that's the humble pie that you do have to eat as a franchise. I also believe that the sentiments are in our own building is that we got to get a little bit better. We have to improve a little bit. There's a lot of talk throughout shows, throughout clips, fans responding to social media tweets. This was not about one thing. There were things that happened where you go, well, if that happens, like for instance, if they go for it early, where they kick a field goal early, or a couple of ball placement issues and not getting off the fast starts and being wide-eyed. And Trevor even mentioned that there were some throws a couple of throws, and it wasn't that many, it was 2 or 3 of them that he probably wishes he could have back in those moments. Things where there was confusion on the back end when guys were playing coverages, having to burn too many timeouts because of late clocks and those types of things, penalties, and not even having timeouts or having to use your timeouts to avoid 10-second runoffs. There were a lot of things, but that is what happens in playoff football. The difference is between the playoffs and the regular season is you don't get do-overs, and the sudden death aspect of it hurts. The Jaguar fans didn't have a lot of time to do that because they took the lead and actually had the lead with 1.5 minutes left to go in the game. And then when they got the ball back, seemingly needing 30 yards to get in what we believe is Cam Little's range in order for them to win the game. And I've talked about that. I said sometimes teams can't back up because they back up. They're basically giving him a field goal that he can make if they get to the 50-yard line. So maybe they play this thing close enough and then we hit something, and we hit something big, right? But it didn't happen. It was a tip ball. We got an interception, and we can discuss that all day long, but got to get a little better. There was pressure on the play. Got to protect a little bit longer. Receivers, if it touches your hands, you got to catch it. Trevor, a little bit of better ball placement. Guys getting confused on the back end. You got to improve that just a little bit. The thing is, the operative word here is little. There's not a whole bunch that the Jaguars have to do. They just got to get to the point where they play the good version of themselves way more often than they allow their shortcomings to rear its ugly head and show up in critical points in these big games against good teams. And Buffalo is a very good team. We're going to discuss why I think you should just be positive. And I know it's hard to get to that, and it's easier said than done, but this is what we're going to do. I'm going to say it. There's a lot of blue sky here for the Jaguars next year, and a lot of reason to believe that they are entering that window where they're going to be competitive for a long time. We'll discuss all of it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show sponsored and brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, it's always a feel-good thing, man, to be right. While, with high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. Prize Picks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting, just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks was quick and simple. The app is super easy to navigate. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not just you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but I never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. It's play by play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps, trading involving significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. All right, we're rolling along here on a not Victory Monday on Locked On Jaguars as the Jaguar season comes to an abrupt end. 50 seconds left, man, and one tip ball, and that was it. And that's the hard part for a lot of fans, that this magical ride is just suddenly over when it seemed like it was setting up for the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence to deliver. I still think from a big picture standpoint, this season meant more than it feels like this morning that it actually did. There are a lot of teams. I talked to one of the people from my network today, and they said, you know how many teams would want to be in the position that the Jaguars are in? And I said, yeah. It does not mean that just because I recognize that, though, that I don't recognize the finality of actually losing a game that the Jaguars had every opportunity to win. I'm not going to dismiss Buffalo and say that it was us not playing the best version of ourselves, even though I think that was true to a certain degree. There's a reason why you don't play up to your capabilities, and there's a reason why you fall a little bit short in situations where you normally wouldn't, and that is because there's a team on the other side that is offering some of that resistance, right? So the reason why I think it's imperative to say me versus me is we have to really look at ourselves. Any mistakes that were made yesterday by Jaguars players was made by Jaguars players. Anything that coaches did or decisions that they make that they stand by, like going for it on fourth down, that Liam said is 100% a full go. Going into yesterday's game, I totally believe him that it was a 100% full go. I do think that they'll do a lot of reevaluating and saying, okay, on normal circumstances, the chart says this, but the game and the feeling of the moment tells me that. And this and that are different things, but it doesn't mean he's going to change his mind. I just think we have to start realizing that some of the same things that make people tick are the same things that will cost them when they lose games. I recall a game where Bill Belichick, the greatest NFL coach, at least the most decorated NFL coach, made a decision to go for it in his own territory and got ridiculed for it. And I think it was the year the coach won a Super Bowl. I think that game was against the Colts. It may have been, may have not have been. But the point is he was roundly criticized for the choice that he made. Sean McVay is widely considered one of the greatest coaches in the NFL right now, along with Andy Reid, and they get second-guessed all the time. Nick Saban said when he was at Alabama and things didn't go well, people were calling in on radio shows trying to get him fired. And he's the greatest college coach of all time. It happens. It happens. Sometimes it's not a lack of awareness. It's not inexperience. It's just that that's who people are and that's who they're yoked to be, and they're going to go with it, and you got to live with the results. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I had someone tell me if the third down or if the fourth down run would have worked, nobody would be saying anything. You're probably right. But if the fourth down run didn't work like it did, it's your job to talk about the fact that it didn't work, and you wonder what would have happened if those 3 points would have been available to Jacksonville. So I do believe that there should be positivity. I believe moving forward, there should be positivity. And the reason why is because in 1 year, they go from 4-13 to 13-4. In 1 year, which is what we'll make sure we talk about later, they changed the consciousness of Jaguar fans that thought that they were never supposed to be able to enjoy nice things and have a 13-win season. They changed it. Everyone expected them to win yesterday and are extremely disappointed that they did not finish the task. But Mark, make no mistake about it, you're not more disappointed. Well, maybe you are. I don't want to measure disappointment. But you're not the only ones here. The players are hurt too. The coaches are hurt too. These people go 18, 20 hours a day working towards a goal, and to have that goal just snatched from them just like that with 50 seconds left to go, it's painful. It hurts. You can see it and you can hear it. So it's understandable that some people don't want to move on today. And I took time to do the show the way I decided to do it because I'm fully aware that I was decompressing. I did not know where, I told y'all I'm off schedule. I did not know whether or not I should be able to compartmentalize my emotions and be able to move on and discuss what the Jaguars need to do moving forward. But it has to happen. They're doing exit interviews. I'm not doing exit interviews. Liam Cohen's talking to people. I'm going to do my best to get to the stadium to when him and James Gladstone. I got the email. They're meeting Wednesday with the media. I'm going to do everything I can to get there, even if it means adjusting my personal recording schedule. But I think it's important to hear exactly what they have to say about their future. It's their job to continue to look at everything from a macro and broad perspective. But they also have to deal with the reality of this year is over. And this special team, the ride that they were on, is over. And it can be something that can actually take your breath away a little bit when you really, really think about it because of the ride that we have been on this season. But I have faith in them. I have faith in them because they were able to find a wide receiver at the trade deadline. They've been able to, when the team couldn't catch the ball, the catches improved because they brought in somebody who can affect the team that way. You've seen Trevor Lawrence grow, even though he had some moments yesterday in the game that kind of reminded you of the Trevor Lawrence experience that we have been so accustomed to talking about. He also was someone who threw 2 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter of a playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. And he did what we expect guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes to do. And then when he got the opportunity with 50 seconds left, we could have been asking, did they leave him too much time? Unfortunately, it did not work. But you felt that he was going to get it done. He didn't. But that feeling does not go away because the team is set up. I don't think they're going to have a lot of attrition in their coaching staff. They'll get another run at free agency. They're going to have a draft. They're going to get Travis Hunter back. And then they'll have this game. Now, I know I spent a lot of time talking about having a short memory. Do you remember this and carry it over? You don't necessarily need this for motivation, but there are some parts of this that are not garbage in, garbage out. The lesson here is you have to improve and get better, because if you don't, things will happen like they happened yesterday whenever you run into another football team that is going to offer resistance. 1 or 2 more plays, 1 or 2 more players, a little bit better in a whole bunch of areas. It does not guarantee a championship, but it does mean, I believe, that the Jacksonville Jaguars will be here next year in that window to be able to win some more games. We'll talk about the fans, man, and what it means to do this show every single day with you guys, and how this season gave me a lot of joy watching y'all have so much joy. We'll talk about that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, man. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts, and you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. The boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. And all those things matter during the playoffs. You can make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars, and it's hard to have these conversations. This is rarefied air and new territory for us. We did it in 2017, and once again, I believe in 2021 or 2022, when the Jaguars made a playoff run into January, and the season ended, and it always hurts. There are a lot of teams that go through this a bunch, that have been in the playoffs, and all of a sudden you get in the play. I think Baltimore right now is probably the number one team when it comes to, I can't believe that just happened, games in the playoffs. But alas, it has happened to the Jacksonville Jaguars as well, losing 27-24 to Josh Allen, who showed why he was an MVP. There's a lot to learn for the Jags, and I believe yesterday will be a learning tool for a lot of the young players, as well as some of the coaches. They came into this year not knowing what their identity was going to be and how they were going to make this a part of their own, and that's exactly what they did. And I don't know if it was intentional, but I've often said that what I hope to happen is that we have a brand of football and we have a mentality here that matches the fan base in the city. And that did happen. So I don't know if they did it by accident. I don't know if we bent and ingratiated ourselves and we changed our identity to match what the product was on the field. But I do know that a lot of good was done by them and a lot of good was done by the fans. The fans did not have a loser mentality all year. The fans did not sit and sulk and believe that same old Jags, that no matter what happens, the Jags are going to jag. Kind of like the Packers just packer, right? It's kind of like the Ravens have been ravening and the Chargers keep charging late in the year when it comes to the playoffs. No, there wasn't this woe is me feeling. And that's because I'm proud to say that I call them the faithful 50,000, but they adjusted and they believed in exactly what they saw, and they thought it was going to go differently. And for the most part, when it didn't yesterday, while there was sadness, there was also, but we're going to be all right. Sounded like Kendrick Lamar. We're going to be all right. And we will be fine, because with Tony Baselli, James Gladstone, and Liam Cohen, I think this thing is moving in the right direction on a permanent basis. Doesn't mean they're going to go 13-4 or better next year. Sometimes your record gets worse, but you get better. Sometimes it's the same. You can never tell what's going to happen with injuries or player acquisitions or the chemistry of it all. But now we have an outlook that is more fun. It's not apathetic, and it's not woe is me, and it's not hoping and wishing that the team has a chance to be successful. It is absolutely believing that it is going to happen and that it's going to last. And it's because of the attention that you gave it, and you saw it and you accepted exactly what it was. You saw the Jacksonville Jaguars playing good football, not necessarily from the results, but with every little step that they had to take, from when they were winning games when they weren't playing well, to the point where they took those wins and didn't apologize for them. But then they started realizing, in order to win and play the right way and to play clean, they had to improve and get better, no matter had they won those games or not. And I would say over the last 6 or 7 games, you absolutely saw them do that. You saw them play like a competent team. And even yesterday in the Bills game, in that second half, they were fabulous. Now, there's some things that have to happen. There's going to be another round of player acquisition. There's going to be some players that are banged up that are going to be coming back that will mean a whole bunch to this team. But hasn't James Gladstone and Liam Cohen and the coaching staff and Tony Baselli, haven't they, for the most part, not every single player, Diami Brown wasn't much of an acquisition, but haven't they shown you that they're capable of doing that, even in midseason? If I'd have told you that Brian Thomas Jr.'s impact would not be very good this year and that they would only have Travis Hunter for 6 games, but Trevor Lawrence, even knowing those two things, Trevor Lawrence would have a year that would change your perception and the perception of many, not everyone, but the perception of many about who he is and what he is. He is absolutely a top 10 quarterback now. I think it's probably even higher than that. But there was some thought that he wasn't even a top half quarterback. And that was from people who weren't people that just don't believe he's going to be very good. All of those things have changed. The Devin Lloyd, the perception of him as a first-round pick changed. He's an all-pro, albeit second team. Trayvon, Josh, Devon Hamilton, Antonio Johnson, Jarian Jones. A lot of those pieces were question marks. Robert Hainsey's a good center. Remember this time last year during free agency when they got Hainsey and all we thought was what we got a guy who had got benched, and now he may have been your best lineman, your most consistent lineman all single year, along with Anton Harrison, who I think answered questions. Brenton Strange took another step. They hit on 2 running backs in the draft with Bashal Tootin as well. They even went out and got DJ Dallas when LaQuint Allen got hurt, and DJ Dallas had some impact in one game. They were able to go on the road and beat Denver. They went on the road and beat the 49ers. They split with the Texans. They beat the Chargers. They played the Bills in a very, very tight, close game. The one game that got away from them is the Rams game. They even were very competitive against Seattle. So I'm naming all of the teams that are actually in the playoffs that the Jacksonville Jaguars. You don't feel ashamed stacking the Jaguars up right next to them. And we've never felt that way before. So as we start to get into the offseason, I'm going to start looking at free agency. I'm going to look at the cap situation. I first got to look at it and decide, I want ETN back. I want Devin Lloyd back. I want all of, especially those 2 dudes, I want them back. You're going to see them move on to some other people. You're going to see that this is now going to be a place where other people want to come because they believe that there's going to be some success here. And I believe in the theory that they have of making sure you go out and get players that have certain characteristics where they have to do nothing more than come here and be just who they are. And I think it's going to work. The Jaguar fan base has been wanting something to grab a hold to that they believe gives them hope, and it gives them a chance to be seriously, seriously competitive. And I think they got there. And I'm giving the fans a lot of credit for recognizing that, embracing it to the point where the hurt that you feel is because you had an expectation to win. And I think from being a fan, that's a really, really good place to be, even though today it does not feel like a good place to be. Trust me, it is. And at some point, we'll realize it. Just like y'all realize hanging out with me each and every day here on Locked On Jaguars is special. It's special for me too, trust me. You guys, we really try to deliver and give you guys shows that kind of make us proud to serve you as Jacksonville Jaguar fans, and we are very, very grateful, and we don't take you for granted. In fact, if you want a little bit more, it doesn't change anything about where we are right now, but the Everydayers Club gives you the access to that. Look into the description wherever you watch or listen to this podcast and tap into the Everydayers Club, where you get access to audio versions of our show that are ad-free, and to our merch store, and so many more things. Make sure you tap in to that location. We really, really appreciate y'all, man. I wish this was a Victory Monday. It is not one. However, from a big perspective, a little bit older now, I can kind of act like Unc. They call me Unc, so I give you, hey, man, everything's going to be all right. We're moving in the right direction, and I'm glad for you. The faithful 50,000 is what I refer to you as, but I'm glad for the city of Jacksonville. I'm glad for the fans. It's just it just didn't go our way this time, but we're going to live to fight another day, man. Y'all take care, and we'll see you tomorrow with more coverage. The offseason does not mean we change anything, and we'll be right here on Locked On Jaguars. Make sure y'all tap in. We'll see you, man.